The calm before the storm. Damien sat in the break room of the Juggernaut, a dwarf-class industrial ship he'd called home for the past 8 years. It was another routine day as he remotely ran system diagnostics, his fingers flicking through holographic displays. The ship hummed quietly, the ever-present background noise of deep space. As Damien focused on his work, Galen and Tries, 2 Arans, a bipedal avian species, walked in. Damien greeted them with a traditional Agorian gesture, spreading his arms wide and nodding. "Good meeting," he said, smiling. "Good morning, Damien," Galen replied as he rummaged through the ship's performance statistics. Tries, ever the inquisitive one, looked around the room curiously. "What are you doing here all alone?" she asked, her large, curious eyes locked onto him. Damien gestured to the diagnostics display. "Just running some system checks. Pretty routine stuff." Tries' gaze lingered on the interface. "I've never seen a system like that before. How are you controlling it?" Damien chuckled and pointed to a small port just behind his right ear. "Neural interface. It lets me control some of the ship's systems directly." Galen's eyes widened. "You mean you have a machine inside you?" "Yep," Damien shrugged. "Not many species can tolerate this kind of tech, but it's pretty useful." "Do all humans have these interfaces?" Tries asked, examining the port more closely. "Not all," Damien replied, his tone growing more serious. "I have it because I used to be a soldier." Galen tilted his head in curiosity. "You don't seem like a warrior." Damien laughed, shaking his head. "No offense taken. Humans don't really have castes like some species. I was a pilot in the First Contact War." At this, both Arans froze. Few exos, short for extraterrestrial species, knew much about the First Contact War, humanity's grim introduction to the galaxy. "What was it like?" Galen asked quietly, his curiosity overriding his manners. Tries shot him a reproachful look, but Damien waved it off. "It's fine. If you really want to know, I'll tell you." He paused, his usual smile fading. "But you need to understand, this is our past. It's not who we are now." The Arans nodded, their feathers ruffling slightly, a sign of their growing interest. Damien took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "Are either of you familiar with Enray?" he asked. The two exchanged puzzled looks, shaking their heads. Damien nodded and unclipped a hollow viewer from his wrist, placing it on the table. The device flickered to life, displaying a star map. Damien traced a line through several star systems, highlighting the borders. They used to control an expansive empire spanning 4 star systems, with 26 planets under their dominion, he explained. "But now, they're a scattered people, galactic nomads. The reason for that is the First Contact War." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Tries' eyes widened, while Galen leaned in closer, eager to hear more. The unwanted contact. Humanity was just beginning to explore the stars when the Enray arrived. Damien continued. "We had colonized 2 planets in our home system, and had semi-permanent colonial stations on 2 others. We were even starting to build structures around our home star." The holo-viewer displayed images of the old solar system, showing humanity's modest beginnings. Damien smiled wistfully as he watched the scenes play out. "We were a hopeful species, making steady progress. The discovery of life on a few of our planets, even if only microscopic, reignited our passion for exploration. We were planning missions to other solar systems, dreaming of what might be out there." The Arans watched as the holo-viewer shifted to an image of Neptune, humanity's largest astronomical research center. It consisted of over 100 stations, collectively forming a planet-sized telescope for ultra-deep cosmic observation. "But we never got the chance to reach out on our own," Damien said, his tone darkening. "One day, they came. The Enray. No warning, no attempt at communication. They attacked without mercy, wiping out our research stations and setting up their own facilities to strip the planet of its resources." The HoloViewer displayed chaotic scenes of destruction, images of the once proud research center reduced to rubble. Damien's voice grew harsh. They killed 17,576 people in that first strike. And that was just the beginning. Tries gasped, her feathers fluffing out in shock. Why? Why did they attack? Damien shook his head. We never found out. Maybe they saw us as a threat, or maybe we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But we knew one thing. They were a colossal threat to the future of all mankind. The dawn of unity. Their attack was a wake-up call, Damien said, his voice heavy with emotion. We had no choice but to unite. The destruction of our research stations was seen as an attack on all of humanity, and for the first time in history, we came together as one. The HoloViewer showed images of factories and production facilities, springing up in record time. Research centers across the solar system buzzed with activity as humanity prepared for war. Every vessel capable of space travel was retrofitted with makeshift weaponry. Damien explained. We knew we couldn't take them on directly, not yet anyway. So we focused on gathering information, hitting them where it hurt. The viewer displayed scenes of early human offensives, showing weaponized shipping freighters and exploratory drones striking at the Nri fleet. We took heavy losses at first, but we learned quickly. Small bits of their technology found their way into our manufacturing centers, and before long, the first true human fleet was born. Damien touched the neural port behind his ear. The first generation of stellar naval pilots took to the skies. They didn't last long. The early neural interfaces were brutal on the nervous system, but they knew the risks, and they made the sacrifice willingly. The viewer showed crude, bulky human warships engaging the Nri in battle. We targeted their supply lines, disabled their manufacturing plants, and slowly, we began to turn the tide. The turning point. By the time we had them on the run, the Nri had already established a foothold on Neptune, Uranus, and Jupiter. Damien continued, his voice growing more intense. But we struck them where it hurt the most. We severed their supply lines and starved them out. The viewer displayed images of human forces striking key Nri installations, disrupting their subspace communications, and cutting off their resources. Every battle gave us more knowledge, more technology, and every victory strengthened our resolve. Damien paused, his expression grim. Eventually, we drove them out of our solar system, but we didn't stop there. Tries and Galen exchanged glances, sensing the darkness in Damien's words. We pursued them from one system to the next, burning everything in our path. We took inspiration from them, converting their captured worlds into factories and shipyards. The HoloViewer showed images of massive industrial complexes spanning entire planets, humanity's war machine in full swing. We became a force to be reckoned with on the galactic stage. The galactic recognition. It wasn't long before we stood before the Interspecies Compact. Damien said, his tone softening. We had earned our place among the stars, and the Compact recognized that. The HoloViewer displayed scenes of humanity's first encounters with other spacefaring species, trade agreements being signed, and treaties forged. We were adaptable, resourceful, and our reputation as fierce warriors earned us both respect and animosity. Damien smiled slightly. We were stronger, denser, and harder than most species. We could endure harsh environments and survive otherwise lethal encounters. It made us both feared and indispensable. The viewer shifted to a scene of a Nri representative speaking before the Galactic Senate. The Nri were prepared to recognize humanity as a full-fledged member of the Compact, offering a deal that would grant us several highly profitable worlds. Tries leaned in, her eyes wide. Did humanity accept? Damien's smile faded. No, we wanted something more. The human condition. Damien's expression grew serious as he recounted the pivotal moment in galactic history. The human representative stepped forward, a general in the human fleet. His first words were a number, 17,576. The viewer displayed the confused expressions of the NRA delegates, murmurs filling the Senate floor. He was reminding them of the lives lost in that first strike, a number that had burned itself into our collective memory. Damien paused, allowing the tension to build. The general made it clear that humanity was as complex as we were simple. We welcomed all species with open arms. If they treated us as equals, we would do business, share technology, and protect our allies. But those who crossed us would face the full wrath of humanity. The viewer showed scenes of the Senate in uproar, the NRA delegation taken aback by the humans' bold stance. The deal on the table was decent by most standards. But humanity had a habit of being exceptional. The legacy of war. The NRA learned a valuable lesson that day. Damien said, his voice steady. They realized that humanity wasn't just another species to be manipulated or exploited. We were a force to be reckoned with, one that would not be easily subdued. The viewer displayed scenes of humanity's continued rise in the galaxy, their influence spreading as they forged alliances and expanded their territory. But we never forgot the cost of our victory. The lives lost in that first strike were always at the forefront of our minds. Damien leaned back in his chair, the holo viewer flickering off. We didn't seek out the war, but we fought it with everything we had. And in the end, we emerged stronger, more united, and more determined than ever. Tries and Galen sat in stunned silence, the weight of Damien's words hanging in the air. Finally, Tries spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you think humanity will ever face such a challenge again? Damien smiled, a glint of steel in his eyes. I hope not, but if we do, I have no doubt that we'll rise to the occasion. Because if there's one thing humanity has learned, it's that we're at our best when our backs are against the wall. Galen nodded solemnly. Thank you for sharing this with us, Damien. It's given me a lot to think about. Damien rose from his chair, clapping Galen on the shoulder. Anytime, my friends. Just remember, no matter what happens, we're in this together. We faced the worst the galaxy can throw at us, and we're still standing. That's the human way. As Damien left the room, the Arans exchanged thoughtful glances. Their perception of humanity forever changed. They had come to the Juggernaut as curious outsiders, but they would leave with a newfound respect for the species that had not only survived but thrived in a galaxy full of challenges. And as they continued their journey through the stars, the story of humanity's first contact war would serve as a reminder that, when pushed to their limits, humans were a force unlike any other.